I put this quote on the blurb from Herbie Hancock about creativity. You are the most powerful when you are in the moment. You create the future when you are in the moment. Um, Herbie Hancock is a master improviser, but he's also uh, been a Buddhist for like 50 years. He's a Nichiren Buddhist that they do the chanting practice of, I don't have it right, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo or something like that, which I never used to understand, but the more I've learned about it and especially hearing about it from him, really understanding the depth of that particular practice. But he initiated like the first international connections to have international jazz festivals and very, very intentionally uses music to create tolerance and understanding and peaceful coexistence. Like he's a little bodhisattva that has been going around the world doing those things all his life. So yeah, that intermix of, yes, he's doing a creative practice, but he's creating things in life by bringing practice out into the world in those ways. So yeah, and for often when I've talked about when the word creativity comes up, there's some folks that'll go, "Oh, I don't write poetry, I don't play music, I don't paint," and think, "Oh, that doesn't apply to me." But we're talking about something more universal here, that we are all already creating ourselves. We're all already participating in creating our lives. It's just we didn't get taught to do it in a very conscious way mostly, and there's so many things to just pull us around. And so practice is very much about claiming that creation of ourselves through practice, through doing the meditation practice, through watching, through the Eightfold Path, right? That's how we bring it out into the world. The fourth foundation, the fourth noble truth. Um, it's probably familiar to people, but wise understanding, wise intent, wise speech, action, and livelihood, and then wise mindfulness, wise effort, mindfulness, and concentration are the 8 steps of the path. So yeah, what we do internally, and then how we bring practice into our interactions with the world. That's we are recreating ourselves. We do enough practice, then we create better karma going forward, right? We don't keep doing the same things that we're causing our own trouble, that we all we all have some version of that we've done in our lives. Yeah, we're creating a better world for ourselves and the people around us. And then, with enough practice, we are also like undoing a lot of the stuff that's clenched up in us from a lifetime or lifetimes, if that's how you see things, that we can purify those things. That word purification gets used often to speak about this, that you can release stuff that's been pent up a long time. So deconstructing maybe is as creative as constructing something inside of ourselves. So yeah, anyway, those kind of ideas about creativity, like we're all already engaged in creating ourselves and in creating what happens between us and the world. And practice is helping us upgrade, right? To be more conscious about what we're creating. So there's a there's a word in the Lakota language, Wopila. I don't know if I'm got the accent on the right syllable, but it's it's a word that means like gratitude for existence, but just gratitude for the fact that all of this exists. And now it still exists. It just keeps doing this thing. It's being created in every moment. Like this gratitude for, whoa, what is this? It's still here, right? And it's this creation that is here. We don't think about it, but we're part of it. And it's continually being created by something mysterious, right? We are part of that. So just like not taking that for granted, having gratitude for it, have a word for that. Um, I told Eugene I was giving a talk on creativity, and then he sent me a whole bunch of notes he had from talks he's given on creativity. And so I pulled a couple of quotes out. One is from Hamid Ali, who from Diamond Approach, Diamond Heart Practice. This present arising is creativity. And in this sense, everything is creativity. The whole thing is a constant process of creation. Everything is being created every second, every split second. You are being created. So is everything. So just resting in this gift that's given, this kind of wondrous thing. Like, why is there anything, right? We don't think about it, but yeah, I I spend a good bit of time in this state myself, just being grateful that there's existence, just being wowed by it. So, the Buddha himself was an extremely creative guy. I mean, he created this practice and this way of understanding the world and the cosmos and how our minds work. He created all of that, and here we all are still unpacking that like 2,600 years later. So he created something so significant. But just the way that he came to it, it's like he was given all these, he was a powerful person in his community, and he was like, that's not what I want. I want to go create something else for myself. I don't want to be the guy that runs my clan here. I want to go off and do something else. And he tried a whole bunch of different spiritual practices with teachers that were helpful. He learned things from them, but each time it was like, this isn't it. I'm not there yet. Like, there's something else I need to get to. I'm creating this for myself. Yeah, so he came up with a completely original idea, understanding of how this works and how, all the cosmological stuff of Buddhism. It's not what we focus on a lot, but just this whole understanding of the universe and of our human potential and um, the ways we interact, all of that. And he was like, there's the Dhammapada that's like all verse that was passed down orally from the Buddha. Like, he was a poet, but within each of these poems was this really profound teaching. When he had his awakening, I mean, that all these things got passed down orally and then written down many years later. But this is what's in the Pali Canon for like when he had fully awakened and saw that what the cycle of samsara is, of just getting stuck in the wheel, and that he was like, oh, I see the wheel, and I'm freeing myself from that. So this was the supposed, it's reportedly the first words he said. Seeking but not finding the house builder, I traveled through the round of countless births. Oh, painful is birth ever and again. House builder, you have been seen. You shall not build the house again. Your rafters have been broken down. Your ridgepole is demolished too. My mind has now attained the unformed nibbana or nirvana and reached the end of every kind of craving. So just this thinking in metaphors and speaking in metaphors all the time, this house builder, that we live in this cycle, that we're part of recreating stuff that isn't working so well for us. And he was talking about in the biggest sense too. Um, so yeah, and another really important piece of all this is how much he encouraged practitioners to be creative. The whole notion of ehipassiko is the Pali word for come and see for yourself. Come and, come and try this out. I think I got some good stuff here. Here, try this out, but you practice it. You take it in for yourself. You see for yourself what works. And anything that isn't what you've come to by your own experience and understanding that's not what he's teaching, right? He's teaching us to find these things for ourselves. There's no dogma to believe. There's only here, try this on, see what you experience. And once you really know it, then that is your practice. It's not something that he's going to say, this is what you're going to feel. This is what you should think. This is how you should do this. It's like really encouraged to make it our own. And then the encouragement that he gave for wherever Buddhism was going to go in the world, wherever it was going to be planted in the world, that it should be translated into the language and customs of whatever place it lands. And so it's, you can just see it in each of the main traditions, the main lineages in Buddhism, like the particulars, and like some really amazing artwork and music and calligraphy, and like from Zen, all the poetry and the paintings and those kinds of things. The Shaolin priests, creating a whole incredibly beautiful movement art that's just all based on learning these things, but then improvising in your life, improvising as things come to you, that it's all a dance like that. And the Tibetans like win the prize for like the most incredibly beautiful, ornate, painted up stuff, just incredibly beautiful things. Like there's a place I like to go to often for self-retreat. That's a Tibetan place. I just go there and practice on my own, but they have a prayer wheel that's like this big around, like it would fill most of the middle of this room. That's all painted up, and it's filled with it's filled to the top with microfiche of Om Mani Padme Oms. So you turn this wheel, and you're sending blessings all around the world with this wheel. It's just there's so much artful stuff like that to engage with directly, the tankas, the mandalas, the sand paintings. There's just so much of that in Tibetan art. And it's like that because they brought Buddhism into their culture and they made it their own. So everyone's completely welcome to do that. And in fact, that was from the Buddha's way of looking at it, that was the only way this was going to work and be real, is if it was made suitable to each culture. So yeah, that kind of creativity that we've all seen these kinds of things, the kinds of artwork that's come out of Buddhist practice and the ways that people practice that's worked in these different cultures, that each, they're all similar, but they have an accent on a different syllable or whatever. Yeah. So yeah, just this sense that just in every moment we're always being shaped by, like, life is happening to us, and then we're responding to whatever's happening, and the way we're taught or not taught, we just kind of run around bouncing from greed to hatred to delusion, right? Like, oh, I need something more over here. I don't want that over there. And oh, I'm spacing out. I don't know what's going on. Like, our mind will do a lot of that, right? Um, get pulled around this way and that way. So just the ability to pay attention, to actually recognize this beauty of the possibility of attending to our awareness that's already happening, to actually see what's going on and make use of our awareness to make less suffering for ourselves and other people, just to be able to watch what's actually happening. Yeah, I just some really great quotes from Herbie Hancock about this way that it's just, it's in every aspect of our lives. The raw material of Dharma practice is ourself and our world. Oh, I'm sorry. This is Stephen Batchelor. It's not Herbie Hancock. Um, the raw material of Dharma practice is ourself and our world, which are to be understood and transformed according to the vision and values of the Dharma itself. So we're watching what's happening in our lives, and we're endeavoring to do to live in a non-harming way, and to notice what is harmful and what's not harmful, to be able to distinguish that. So yeah, according to being transformed according to the vision and values of the Dharma itself. This is not a process of self or world transcendence, but one of self and world creation. So yeah, here's Herbie Hancock talking about this. There's an artistic endeavor in which we are all involved. It's called the art of living. We all have the instrument we're born with, the heart. Everyone experiences suffering. The challenge is how to turn a negative experience into something of value. We all have the infinite capacity to create a beautiful life and manifest the light of advancement by turning poison into medicine. So yeah, we have had and we will have all kinds of stuff coming at us in this life that, brings, pulls towards aggression, towards deflation, toward, just the ways that we suffer, that we can respond in ways that aren't helpful for us. And, if we're not taking care of ourselves, that's not helpful for everybody else. And as, whatever it is that comes to us, in whatever way we're pulled by our automated, ways we've been conditioned and trained, um, instead we're alchemizing these things. Is that a word? Alchemize, alchemizing these things that are coming at us, right? And as he's saying it so beautifully, turning poison into medicine. And yeah, we certainly have plenty of opportunity for that these days, like the feeling of being, having poison. I mean, I just don't know a person who's not feeling like they really need to carefully regulate what they take in out of the media and, social media, and all, like, people needing to regulate it, because wait a minute, that was enough for me to metabolize right now. That was enough poison for me to turn into something, where you learn something from it. You watch yourself, your own reactions, and you recognize a choice, right? You recognize all these choice places. So the Dharma gives us that choice. We so often, something happens and there's an immediate feeling of, like, you feel like you're backed into a corner, you feel like you don't have choices. And so just the way we slow it down and be with what's actually happening, and uh, we can choose whatever's the least harming, right? So yeah, this whole notion, I know people probably heard me talk about this a lot, but just keeping the sanctity of our own minds in the face of stuff that's, there's so many pulls towards, I was talking about it last time, just so many people talking about feeling really strong aversion of various kinds, whether it's fear or anger or, out and out hatred, struggling with that. Um, the just being able to see, oh, there's all these things that are trying to tug me into these different directions, and being able to know, okay, this is what I need right now. I need to withdraw. I need to dance. I need to, let it out. I need to calm down. Knowing what's your thing you need to do in that moment, so that you can actually watch the pull that's trying to grab you and pull you into something that's like, no, 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 that's not the way. That's, I've trying to swear that off, right? For me, like the central thing that's like I do my best to swear it off is us and them attitudes, right? A little challenging these days, but it's like that's the thing I go back to again and again. It's like, oh right, I'm choosing that. How do I do that? How do I not follow this them, thing that gets set in motion? Yeah, again, Herbie Hancock. Buddhism helps carve out a life where you're the author of your book and not the co-author or a character in somebody else's story. So yeah, the one of my earliest teachers who was a Dharma practitioner, but I wasn't studying the Dharma with her. I was studying creative, the sources of creativity. The poet Diane de Prima had a poem that was, from the 60s in the middle of all that stuff that was going on about the Vietnam War and all that, a poem called Rant, that I also bring back these lines to myself a lot. It repeats many times and then gets bolder and in bigger caps. The only war that matters is the war against the imagination. All other wars are subsumed in it. Until she's saying it enough times that it gets drilled in. But that sense of, like something's happening here where someone's trying to captivate my imagination. And it's often fear that, I catch. Somebody's trying to captivate my imagination with fear. And that's not what I want to imagine. That's not helpful. I mean, if there's danger, I want to respond. And I don't want to be naive about any of that. But I don't, it's like, I see that happening and I want to intervene sooner. I want to stop it before it gets full blown because I don't want that done to my imagination. I want to be imagining like the Buddha did, imagining a world where there was loving kindness everywhere and no one had any reason to look down on anyone else or feel any negative feelings toward anyone, as it says in much more elegant words uh, in the Metta Sutta. Just envisioning a world where that could happen, or just going on retreat and you take the precepts with everybody. You say, I'm not going to harm, I'm not going to kill or hurt anything. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to steal. I'm not going to misuse my sexuality, and I'm not going to use intoxicants. So just to be on retreat with people that all took those precepts, it's like, oh my God, it's so relaxing to the nervous system, and you start to be able to picture what the guy was talking about, what the Buddha was talking about, a world where people have those precepts, and that's an understanding among us, like that we can envision that world, right? We can experience that world. We can create that world where we're treating each other that way and treating ourselves that way. Yeah, there's like, when it comes to creativity or it comes to meditation practice, for either one, like there's a really important aspect of doing it in community, like communal creation. Like I've been engaged with that a lot in community that isn't the Dharma community. Um, for me, it's writing is my main uh, artistic uh, connection with people. So I've done a lot of this stuff in communities where everyone helped each other find their voice, find what it was they really wanted to say by listening to each other's writing and giving feedback in a really safe way. But then specifically in Dharma community, there was many, many years of a creativity retreat that would be both, you had to choose writing or painting, but you would go be in the big meditation hall and the writers were upstairs, the painters were downstairs with everything all papered off and painting in this process painting. It isn't about the product. It's about like paying attention to the impulse. What color do you want? Like letting this thing unfold, and then a lot of something quite similar with the writers, where you get a prompt, you you write, you read with no commentary, and everybody just holds space for each other. It's like just a super powerful thing. And then for like 12 or 13 years, I guess it's about 13 by now, I've been part of one of these spiritual friends groups, the Kalyanamita group that we started to meditate and write together. And so we get together, we eat, we check in, um, and we get a prompt, we write and read to each other with no comment. And then after the first round, we all underline whatever seemed like it had some juice to it, or just seemed important, a couple lines or a couple words, and then we share those, and then those become our next prompt, so that we all have writing and poems that like they have a line I came up with in their poem, and I have a line that, from there in my poem, and it's so great for feeling like you don't own the words, that all of this is yeah, there's just something about being held that way that it makes me generate all kinds of things that I would never otherwise have touched into. So there's wonderful things like that in terms of creating in community. And then on the other hand, there's like, the Buddha says in the four foundations of mindfulness over and over again, like, having gone into seclusion, in the forest, that you remove yourself, right? So artists often do this and get a reputation for for being, you know, oh, he's an artist. Like you can't talk to him. He's obsessed, right? He's out there doing his thing or whatever. And there's a similarity with meditation, that you really need to protect this space sometimes, right? When you get on the track of this, and then it's like you make different choices in your life. So I want to read this poem from Naomi Shihab Nye, who's a Palestinian American poet. That just, I think she was writing this as a poet, but you can equally hear it about your meditation practice and all the things that are trying to, make you forget your practice or whatever. The art of disappearing. When they say, "Don't I know you?" Say, "No." When they invite you to a party, remember what parties are like. Before answering, someone telling you in a loud voice they once wrote a poem, greasy sausage balls on a paper plate, then reply. If they say, "We should get together," say, "Why?" It's not that you don't love them anymore. You're trying to remember something too important to forget. Trees, the monastery bell at twilight. Tell them you have a new project. It will never be finished. Walk around feeling like a leaf. Know you could tumble any second. Then decide what to do with your time. So yeah, that sense of having it be okay to be a little different than how you've been, if you need to be, in order to protect your own creativity, whether it's making some kind of art, or whether it's this creation of ourselves that we're doing, like not being pulled off into the things that dilute that or set you back, those kinds of things. So just really protecting that for ourselves. Um, yeah, I just wanted to end with a poem from Hafiz. Hafez, I guess, is actually how you say it. Hafez. And the translation, Daniel Ladinsky, I just got to say, it's like, took me a while to find this out, but he actually didn't translate, he reinterpreted. So these are his reinterpretations of what Hafez said. I have a friend who's speaks Farsi. He's from Afghanistan, and he was translating Hafez many, many years ago. And so I called him up and said, "Well, who do we read?" And he said, "Forget it. There's no way to translate what the guy said into English." So anyway, I just want to say that, like, they're brilliant. They're wonderful English versions of Hafez, but I feel like I ought to mention that piece once I found that out. But anyway, still beautiful. To build a swing. You carry all the ingredients to turn your life into a nightmare. Don't mix them. You have all the genius to build a swing in your backyard for God. That sounds like a hell of a lot more fun. He's a Sufi, so there's a deity here that's a little different from Dharma practice. Let's start laughing, drawing blueprints, gathering our talented friends. I will help you with my divine lyre and drum. Hafez will sing 1,000 words you can take into your hands like golden saws, silver hammers, polished teakwood, strong silk rope. You carry all the ingredients to turn your existence into joy. Mix them, mix them. So, a little wisdom from like 1300. A lot of what we need to pay attention to and treasure, what we need to avoid and cultivate or whatever hasn't changed so much from the Buddha's time to halfway through that 1,300 years ago and now. So, or I mean 1,300 like that. So, um, yeah, yeah. So we're at the end of our time, but thank you all so much for your presence together. It's so great to have this option of being in person some of the time, and also to have the option of everybody being able to join online. So just gathering our attention a little here, back into presence with the body. And just feeling the sense of whatever benefit there's been from choosing this on a Sunday night, from coming together with this group of people. Just feeling any resonance or any merit that comes from practicing together, from pondering the Dharma together. Just letting that fully nourish you all the way to the core and all dimensions of your life. Just taking in whatever there is to be received. And just feeling out towards the world, all the suffering in the world of this, all the various kinds. It's like Kuan Yin listening to the cries of the world at ease. Hearing the suffering and wishing for there to be relief for all the suffering, all the division, all the hunger, all the oppression that makes people feel badly towards themselves, all the normal kinds of sickness and aging and death, all that everyone's going through, just sending well-wishing out in all directions for all the people, all the animals, all the beings. May all beings be well. May all beings be freed from greed, from hatred, from delusion. May all beings be free. Thank you all for your company.